Good evening. I'm going to call tonight's meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7 p.m. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 15th, 2026?
I'll move that.
Moved by Gary,
Second.
We have a possible correction when I was reading through, if I could just mention that.
yeah, let's do the second and then.
Sorry, can you hear me now? I'm sorry. There was in one of the paragraphs, I think it mentioned that North Windham School was closed for a year when we were discussing the roof replacement, but I believe that should be Natchog.
That should be correct. I'm just taking, I didn't catch that, but Lauren, did you get that? All right. Yeah, we'll make sure that's corrected. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Next, I'll take a motion for acceptance of the special meeting executive session minutes for July 15th, 2026.
So moved.
Catherine,
Second.
seconded by Paula. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. That's unanimous. Next is approval of minutes for the special meeting from July 15th, 2026.
I'll move.
Moved by Gary,
Second.
second by Mia. Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone in the room or online who wishes to speak during public comment? Seeing no one here or seeing anything online, we will move on to the board chairs report. Miss Ide is on a well-deserved vacation this week, so she sends her regards. Other than that, I really don't have much to report myself, so I will turn it over to Dr. Gamero for the superintendent's report.
Good evening, board members, and members of the Windham community. As we prepare to welcome our students back next week, I just want to give a few updates on the work that has been happening across Windham Public Schools this summer and where we are headed for the 26-27 school year. Our theme for the year is Strong Foundation, Accelerating Impact. Last year, we did a lot of work on ensuring that we were strengthening the foundation of our school practices. We established priorities, we strengthened some of our systems, and we are trying to ensure that we have consistency across all of our schools, and so that we can have the conditions for our students, our staff to thrive. This year, we are building on that foundation and we're focusing on accelerating impact. And what that means is that we're identifying the practices that are working or strengthening and replicating those across the district so that every student can experience success. And so the three areas of focus are going to be the same as last year. We are planning on going deeper. We had great progress last year. We had a decrease of 8 percentage points of chronic absenteeism, which means that over 200 students are attending school on a regular basis. We want to build on that momentum. And so that is going to continue to be an area of focus because one of the most the factors that have negative impact on student outcomes is chronic absenteeism. So we will continue to focus on that. Also, we are ensuring that every student has access to a safe and productive learning environment, that students are able to feel safe, engaged, included, valued, challenged, and supported. And of course, that it needs to be coupled with high quality instruction. And last year, we did instructional rounds. We went into into classrooms to look into whether or not students had access into grade level standards-driven instruction. This year, we're going to go a little deeper and ensure that our students, based on the data and the observations that we made, that our students also have access to cognitive rigor and student discourse. And so those will continue to be our areas of focus. We came together as a leadership team last week. We had 2 days of our leadership retreat, and you can see here some of the work or some of our leaders engaging in the work. We took a look at, we reviewed academic, attendance, discipline, and school climate data, and we used that information to identify where were the areas of strength or bright spots and opportunities for growth. And we really also challenge ourselves to look beyond, like, what are our intentions, and are we really making an impact on every student's success? And so that was at the core of our discussions, like, what is the impact of our systems, our practices, and our actions as leaders on student outcomes? And as you can see here, there was some very good conversation in planning for the year ahead. Something that we're also excited about is that we will be working with Dr. Karen Hess, who is someone who is known nationally to focus on cognitive rigor, high quality instruction, and student discourse. And she started the work with the leadership team last week, and she will continue to work with our teachers, our coaches throughout the year. Her first professional development offering will be the first PD that we have when teachers return. We have convocation on the 24th. The 25th, the teachers are setting up classrooms, and then the 26th is a full day of professional learning. And one of the rotations will be with Dr. Karen Hess, us looking at, again, how to increase rigor and how to provide more opportunities for students to engage in discourse. So we're really looking forward to the work that we're going to be engaging with her. And I also wanted to share that even though we made great improvement last year in terms of our attendance, there's still room for growth. There are way too many students who are still are chronically absent, and we know that there's a direct correlation between chronic absenteeism and lower academic achievement. And so we want to ensure that all of our students are in school. We are starting the year with the first 60 days of school attendance challenge, and it's not only for our students, but also for our staff, because we know that if we start on a strong foundation and all of our students are in school and all of our staff are present as well, then we set ourselves up for success. We know that attendance is critical for students to feel connected, for students to feel a sense of belonging, and for them to have access to everything that we have to offer in Windham Public Schools. And so we are using this challenge to actually, we're mirroring what Barrows starts the school year with, which is this challenge. So we are doing it district-wide. And I'll stop here for any questions before we go into a report on what has been happening for summer school.
Any questions for the superintendent? Mary?
Are we going to come back to the budget referendum item? That was the first thing.
It was on the agenda because I was going to report that we were going to have a budget referendum on the 22nd of September. However, the board needs to have a discussion as to whether or not we're going to go ahead with that. So that's why I didn't mention it.
I have a question
Okay.
about, so you mentioned that the 60 days challenge is also going to be for staff members. How does that affect, like, contractually, like, sick days and, personal leave and things that teachers have to attend to?
Of course, we will ensure that, the staff still have access to, like, their sick days and their personal days and things of that nature. It's more of kind of like a mindset that as much as we want our students to be here and we're keeping track of their attendance and we're saying that if they are absent more than 18 days in a year, they're considered chronically absent, then on the other hand, we need that same expectations from staff members. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to, approve days that individuals need. If they need sick days, if they have FMLA, those are all things that we'll be taking into consideration individually. But the majority of our staff should be in school the same way that we expect our students to be in school. And so we just want that to be the message. But of course, we'll take into consideration individual circumstances. So thank you for clarifying that, because we also don't want to send the message that we don't care about individuals. So thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to call Mr. Neil Weathers so that he can give us an overview of summer learning in Windham Public Schools.
Good evening. So we know we typically report before and after summer school every year, and I know we gave a preview, I think, earlier in the year. But so summer school this year took place from July 6th to July 30th. And it took place on Monday through Thursdays. 8:30 to 12:30 was the student day, with a little bit of wraparound time for staff before and after. And then the high school program took place to the 23rd. You can see there. So we have three major programs that take place. The kindergarten through grade 3, we call it K-3 literacy program. That took place at Charles H. Barrow STEM Academy from 8:30 to 12:30. Extended school year, ESY, took place also at Barrows from the same time span. And then the high school credit recovery was held right here at the high school. We picked these the two locations because they conveniently also have air conditioning and air control for our students during the hottest month of the year. So just quickly, the kindergarten through grade 3 program, over 100 students registered. We had 100 students registered. We invited 120. We got over 100 to register. And we had about a 90% daily attendance rate. We had 8 classrooms, 4 unilingual and 4 dual language classrooms, 1 for each of the grades K through 3. And then our curriculum resources, we used Curriculum Associates Magnetic Reading and our American Reading Company, which is our anchor resource for our current ELA program. So those were used. I just included, so when I reached out to the 3 coordinators, Maria Sykes is the coordinator of our K-3 program. They sent tons of pictures. I did not share all those pictures, but I tried to include as many. I could tell by the smiles that that's a welcome thing. Obviously, nothing brings greater happiness than watching kids in action like this. So that was the K-3 program. Any questions on that before I move on? Seeing none. Our extended school year, this year we served 65 students. Sorry, I try to avoid acronyms and I slipped here. Individualized education plans, but our IEPs. Our average daily attendance was around 85%, mid 50s. For students showing up in this program. Our RISE and assisted work programming were available pre-K through grade 12, which actually for our AWP runs up to 22 years old. So that was available. Students with behavioral designations like ADHD, OHI, ED were supported in our 2 Camino Alto ESY classrooms. And then we also had students with multiple disabilities and or medical complications received supports as well. And they always did, this year the theme, as you could tell, was the World Cup, and they always did weekly celebrations. And a matter of fact, I think in one of the comments they went, even though the United States didn't pull it off, we were still celebrating. And then the Windham High School credit recovery, there were 70 students this year enrolled in credit recovery that came. There are over 100 semester credits earned. There's a half credit or a 0.5 credit per each semester. So we earned about 100 of those credits with students earning anywhere from a half credit to 1.5 credits, because there were 3 periods. Some students only needed 1 credit to be back on track or graduate. Some students were enrolled in 3 classes. And then the major courses that we had staff for, we try to be efficient because we only have so many staff. So we pick courses where there are many students that need credit for English 1, Algebra 1, Geometry, Integrated Science, Physical Education, Health, and Biology. And we tried to offer both A and B sections, like first and second semester of each of these, and we're able to do so. I don't have any high school pictures. I apologize. But any questions?
I just wanted to start off by complimenting the ESY staff. My daughter absolutely loved going every single day, like had herself up and dressed and ready in the morning without us even having to try, which is not normal for a middle schooler. Of
course.
Yeah, my compliments to the staff. It was a great program.
Yeah, and I mentioned Maria Sykes. She was the coordinator for K-3. Jenny Navarro was the coordinator for ESY. Our pupil services staff in some combination was there every day to support our staff. They did a fantastic job. And Janelle Robles, one of our counselors here at the high school, was the coordinator for the credit recovery. And they do our coordinators and our staff all do a fantastic job every year.
Absolutely. Gary?
How do your numbers compare to previous years? Are we seeing any kind of trend or?
Is compared to what? Like, our enrollment was a little less in K-3. Like last year, actually, Miss Bernay was doing it, like it was closer to the 120 were registered. So the difference about 10 to 15 registrations, I'd say. The attendance rates typically are about the same. And then I think in high school, that can vary by year based on the staff and what courses we offer. I've always seen fluctuations in the last 6, 7 years there. And in terms of ESY, that really is IEP driven.
Okay.
So I was trying to ponder how to, like, I get your question. I was trying to think of the best way to answer it.
Any other questions? Thank you, Neil.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Weathers. So we're excited to open school on August 27th, and these are some open house events that are happening across the district. We have WECC, it's on October 1st from 5 to 6 p.m. Notchog has 2 dates, August 25th at 2 o'clock and September 14th at 5:30. North Windham, August 26th for kinder at 5 and September 10th at 5:30. Sweeney, August 25th for kinder and rise at 5:30 and September 1st at 5:30 as well. Barrows on August 25th at 2 p.m. and September 16th at 5 p.m. Windham Middle, August 24th at 5 for 5th and 6th grade, and August 25th at 5 as well for 7th and 8th. And we have Windham High School on September 15th at 5:30 p.m. And so we look forward to all of these events. And if you are able to attend any of them, you are more than welcome to attend. Any questions or comments about open house? And now we'll have a facilities update from Albie. And I included some pictures here of the old boilers at the bottom and the beautiful new boilers that were installed at Notchog, as well as some of the work that is happening at Windham Middle.
Good evening, everybody. Very happy and pleased to report all the excellent work that's been done this summer across the district and all our schools. First, I want to thank Bob Howard for leading a tremendous amount of work with his staff in maintenance, grounds, and custodians. Really, to start off, let's go with some pictures up there because that's a great place to start. As you know, the Natchog boilers have been taken out and the new ones are placed in. That's the top picture. You can see the bright, shiny blue. And so that's Tucker Mechanical, and they're here for the next 3 weeks to design and connect the pipe work. So, and then those will be up and running, and we'll have a much more efficient system and also more reliable heat in that building. Long time coming, so we're really pleased. In addition, at Natchog, they have a RISE classroom, and that classroom was renovated, painted, and also additional work put in and new furniture placed for those students in that special ed classroom. As always, safety is a priority. We also put in new fencing at Natchog, so that the playground in the back and the students aren't able to run out into Milk Street. Also, and then fencing also when people enter the main entrance. So that is not out in the blacktop area. So we have a pathway to the main entrance at Natchog. So once again, safety, as we have a lot happening there. Let's shift to the new turf field and track at Windham Middle School. Once again, a long time coming for that area, as you know. It is in the stages of putting pellets and sand into the turf to get it ready. Other than that, everything, the track has been lined, numbered. All the turf is down. As you can see, it's striped, it's painted, and ready to go. So that will continue probably for another week, week and a half, but be ready for the predominantly start of school next week. Moving along great. Also at Windham Middle School, we're renovating the Library Media Center. And that really started with emptying it out. And then to redo, we'll have more new flooring in the Library Media Center, which will include the library area, the makerspace classroom, and then an additional classroom, which will have carpeting and tile combination. So it's going to be fantastic. We're modeling it after what we did here at the high school campus. In the makerspace, they'll have 3D printers. It'll have comfortable seating, area for fifth grade, and reading, and then new shelving, new desks, new furniture, and really make it a fantastic area, and also painting that area. And then we're going to be moving forward next week on the retaining wall. And that has been crumbling. It is now blocked off with caution tape. We'll be putting fencing in place to keep it secure, and then we'll be repairing that. Once it's repaired, we'll put in new fencing and also some paving. So a lot of great work at the middle school. Once again, we'll go over to Sweeney School. There are 3 RISE classrooms in that building. The maintenance department has designed and built individual cubbies for the students. And that has been secured. What was there before was not, once again, for safety. And those rooms have all been painted and prepped with bright colors and look fantastic. A lot of great work from our maintenance department. Once again, for safety, we had added additional fencing. So students will not be coming out of the school, going into the parking lot or into the street, so they can be really directed to the playground area. And then we're looking to put in a new boiler also at Sweeney. We had 1 boiler that was non-functioning all last year. We have 2 that are, but you really need 3, and they rotate so they'll last longer. So that will begin hopefully the end of this week or early next week. North Windham, the roof. Something Brendan's worked on for many years. We are getting that patched and repaired, and that will be coming up too also end of this week. That will buy us a couple years. We do have to look into a new roof, but once again, we've had issues with leaking and problematic, but this will give it a really, really good patch and prepare us to last for 2 years. What we're also doing and working really hard on a CIP project at North Windham is a canopy that goes from the main building to the outbuilding. That has been challenging, but we have moved forward with the building inspector able to meet the qualifications and standards for the state. So the goal is to have that put in place in the next month or 2 for the inclement weather for the students who then go to the outbuilding. So we're really, really excited about that project. That's been a long time coming too. Barrows, CH Barrows STEM Academy. A lot of work has been done with one of the units on the roof. And that's been continually worked on by Tucker to get up and running. That's been challenging, but that is done. The paver walkway has been completed. That was a CIP project. And so that has moved along very well. now transitioned here at the high school. As you know, we've had the Renovated New project going on for a number of years. Working with Mr. Callahan and also to finish some of the loose items that has been transferred over to the maintenance department here in the district. And what we have done and reached out, we had to replace 3 expansion tanks, and that has been completed. That's for our heating and cooling loop. We had to install 2 mini splits, one into the MDF room, one into ADF rooms to keep our components from overheating. That has been completed. In our music rooms, which are on the other side of the auditorium back wall, as you know, we had to have an expansion point put in, and that is completed. And then we had some issues with some of our doorways to our restrooms, those thresholds, the doorways were rusted thresholds. So 2 of those are completed. We're waiting for the parts, the door frames on the other 2. So really a tremendous amount of work. A lot of it is still in process, but it's really exciting and will create the best safe environments for our students. And then as always, district-wide summer cleaning in all our schools. Every classroom is emptied, cleaned, floors are waxed, prepared. Grounds work throughout the district, a lot of rain this summer, a lot of grass growing, preparing those for the start of school. And then we're very fortunate. Mark is our HVAC technician and has done an extensive amount of work in all our schools to prepare them for heating and cooling. I'd go through a long list of things, but he's doing a great job. And then another issue, going back to safety and security, we're moved forward to go with Encore for our fire alarm and security systems. And there did a complete audit of all our schools and identified what we need to do to have in place, and those are being put in place as we speak. But once again, fire security, top priorities.
Thank you, Albie. Any questions? Mary?
Just for Natchog, at the facilities meeting, you mentioned that some work would be continued while the students were in school, but has the big disruptive work that's already complete?
That is correct. So the hard work was taking the old boilers out, and then they had to bring in the equipment to install the new ones. Then what they'll do in the boiler room and what's next to that, what I call the coal room, they'll be doing all the pipe fitting and working in general that area, which is accessed from the outside. So they're not going to be in the hallways. So they're really confined to that area. It will not disrupt any learning, any issues in the cafeteria, entrances. So just, when Tucker Mechanicals worked with us for years, they're very aware of the students, the classes, and
Yeah.
very safe.
If I remember right, that boiler room is, has the cafeteria on one side and hallways on 2 of the other sides and exterior on the last wall. So it really is isolated from any educational areas.
That's correct. No wall is shared with a classroom.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Thank you all.
That brings us to committee reports. First is curriculum. Mary?
Yes, we met, shoot, I forgot to write the date, but it was a couple of weeks ago. Or was it July? We discussed finalizing the curriculum review timeline and objectives with a whole schedule of meetings for the next year and slightly beyond. So for example, in September, the department will finalize how the timeline will work. And then in November, they will get an update about the ELA. And so each month after that, there will be a different focus. And that is how we're going to be getting reports as this curriculum is reviewed, discussion of materials, the budget implications, also website updates, because we need to present our goals and objectives on the website. There was an added item about the kindergarten waivers, which are sort of being phased out since the state had updated their rules about the age eligibility for kindergarten students. And that was pretty much it.
Thank you.
Yeah, 7:22. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to policy. Katina is not here this evening. I was there at that meeting. I will summarize from memory as best I can. Since I apologize, I don't have the draft minutes in front of me. We did discuss two policies that are coming before the board tonight, one on video cameras on buses and the other one on live animals in classrooms. Both of those were included in your packet with the changes. And both of those were reviewed with our attorney. As you know, we've mentioned, we're getting into the policies now where it's not just, simple, replaced with the updated, more modern version that's already pre-written. Then we're into the policies now where there's discussion and customization for our student and staff's needs. So those are there for you to review. Again, most of it was based off of our attorney's recommendations. All of it was reviewed by our attorneys to make sure it's okay. And it's really just modernizing those policies like we've been working on for the last few years. Any questions on policy? Mary?
I was just slightly confused because are we repealing the video camera one? It looks, I don't know. So I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, Neil, would you?
Yeah, actually, you don't necessarily have to take action. My understanding was, so there was the meeting we just had where we discussed two policies that are not on the agenda tonight because we're going to work with our attorneys on these two for, I believe, actually the previous meeting. And what was exciting about that meeting, but not for me, is when I got kicked off because my computer restarted. But during that time, I believe the committee moved forward. I believe the committee moved forward with the live animals in the classroom policy. The reason there's no red line is, I believe, if I understood correctly, that the group moved forward that policy, but there was no red line changes to it. So I understood it that, so you don't need to vote, you actually just are keeping the policy. But I figured that could come out tonight and I didn't want to not put the policy on just in case. So it's there. So you really don't need to vote for the video cameras, you're just acknowledging you're keeping it. The real vote is the live animals in the classroom policy.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Any other questions? All right, that moves us to school planning and design. We met back on the 8th, and Albie really just kind of went over everything we talked about in that meeting. So any questions? The only other thing, I'm just looking through my minutes here, the only thing that wasn't mentioned, I just want to make note that Bob Howard is working with Tucker Mechanical and Mr. Dolphin, our financial, to come up with a system to make sure all of the systems that are in this new high school are properly maintained, make sure we're establishing the budget, getting the right staffing levels to make sure that we're able to keep up with this system and we don't end up with, I mean, you're always going to end up with unexpected repairs in any mechanical system of this complexity, but to try to minimize and maintain the longevity of it as much as possible. So, any other questions? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to finance and audit. Mark.
Thank you. At the meeting, we reviewed the football co-op program, which we already discussed a couple months ago, but it was announced that the CICA has approved it, so it will go forward. We approved transfers of $4,258,272.19. The reason for the size is because we're truing up accounts to make sure they're all balanced out at zero. It's a massive end of the year process. So we're going to recommend that to the board be approved. We're also, the committee also is recommending that the policy committee pick up a review of the use of facilities policy that we have, specifically in the areas of cost for the use of the various facilities and the approval chain in terms of if we're going to make exceptions or changes to that. So we're going to recommend that the policy committee take another look at that policy. And the other thing that was announced, the good news to announce was that due to proper budgeting and budget control from Ray and from Dr. Camaro. We're ending the year without a deficit. And we'll have a little money that we put into the 1 year. I'm sorry, what?
The 2%.
The 2% set aside.
Thank you. So that we're in very good shape in terms of the last year's budget.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions? Oh, Mark, any news on the referendum?
I'm sorry on the what?
Any news on the budget referendum?
It's a very confusing news, but yes, there is news. The committee did, I guess, approve adopting the 0% budget, though there certainly was questions as to the horse before the cart, since it appears the Board of Finance has already approved the 0% budget and canceled the referendum. But the Board of Ed has not made a formal vote on that, so I guess that's why it's on the agenda for tonight.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we're on to discussion items. First item on there is the bid waivers. Albie or Bob, do you have anything more to say on that, or do you just want me to give a 30-second blurb? So both of these came up in school planning and design. The bid waivers are for the Sweeney boiler and for the middle school retaining wall. The middle school, I'll start with the middle school retaining wall. That one, let me just go to the thing here for a second. Apologize. And it's not in the order I expected. So for the retaining wall, again, it's one of those things that's a little bit above our bid threshold. It's become a safety issue as we're doing the work in the outside there. The retaining wall is in worse shape than originally expected. As you guys know, we've been putting this in our CIP for a couple of years now, and it keeps either getting cut or the CIP gets rejected, that sort of thing. But at this point, it's become a safety item, so we need to move forward with it. We're working with a vendor we've worked with before, just to make sure this work gets done on time and our students are safe. The other one is for Tucker Mechanical to install the third boiler at Sweeney and replace that one. We want to make sure that's up and running before the beginning of the heating season. Tucker Mechanical is actually on state contract, so it has been competitively bid. Just because we're not bidding it ourselves, it comes forward for a bid waiver. So any questions or concerns on either of those before we take action later in the agenda? All right, seeing none. Oh, sorry, I missed.
I actually have a question. So I know there's like a lot of urgency with getting these things done and, can't wait any longer, but what is like the time frame that we need in order to actually get a bid? Because this is like the third waiver we're doing like in the last 2 months. And I just was curious to, like, what are the parameters around, getting the waiver, around getting bids so that we know that, we're getting something that's competitive.
Mr. Dolphin, would you mind?
So I can give you an overview of the bidding process. I'm also going to invite Bob on to talk about some of the pros and cons that we run into. So let me just start at the end. Anytime it's a safety issue, it's not a bid issue. It just has to be done. So you have to avoid that. But in an ideal situation where it's not a safety issue and we're just choosing to purchase a particular item. So the process is that we need to put a notice. And so that notice is defined depending on the town, but for us, it has to be put into a local paper where it has to be advertised. You have to have several different companies to be notified. Usually you want to try to do 3 or more. You have to make sure that everyone has to turn in that particular bid, whoever those contractors that want to submit a bid, they have to turn it all in at the exact same day. Once that time has been reached, we have to accept them all at the same time, inform the public what those are. We don't have to necessarily go with the cheapest, But if we're not going with the cheapest, then we have to obviously justify that process. So for example, if we have somebody who is not qualified or we deem to have not been the best person for the job, then we're allowed to say we're going to go with this person who may have been, the second or third most expensive because they have a great track record. We have assurances for when they're going to finish the job at a faster pace and things of that nature. So that's the process. There are the Board of Ed, the town has a charter, as well as the Board of Ed has the policies on the website that actually gives us an opportunity to meet certain criteria for particular waivers. And so it looks like we're in that particular boat right now. Bob, can you kind of talk a little bit about, I think you were saying the practical matters of if you go out to bid and sometimes it's a better deal. I think you mentioned that several meetings ago. If you don't mind, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but he educated me on this when we were talking about it. So.
For the record, Bob Howard, Director of Facilities. Some of the pros and cons of putting it out to bid is, for instance, I can just say on the wall here, we have a deterioration of the first top levels. So if we had put it out to bid, we would have to find somebody this is called an interlock system, came out in the 80s. You have to have somebody that was doing it. So actually knows the wall. So we called the rep. We had one of the reps who is also knows the guy that we had do our walkway, who is an interlock specialist. So if we had put it out to bid, you would have to find those people. So you may be 3 months, 6 months, it could even be up to a year. And at this time, like he said, it's a safety problem. Also, by putting it out to bid, you're looking at probably a 25% increase in cost because they're going to just all come higher, which right now we're in the point where we could save some money. So it just makes it more feasible for us at this time. The safety is a real big thing here.
And I can just
So I do
add to
wanna
that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The whole bid process that Mr. Dolphin explained, when we're going off of these, like, for example, the mechanical one where it is off of state contract, the state has already done that whole process and done the legwork for us. We just essentially need to say, yes, we're okay with following what the state already did for us versus the costs and time incurred with doing that ourselves. Because to put out a bid like that, it's easily another $1,000 in costs just for the bid process.
Yeah, and just to add to that, in addition to the state, sometimes the town, so we have the opportunity to use a vendor that's already been vetted through the town. And anytime it's not the case, unofficially, even when we're not required to do a particular bid, we're regularly discussing with others. So myself, Dr. Gamiro, Neil, all the leadership, we have counterparts in other districts. And so one of the first things that we're doing in situations where we're not even required to do a bid or something like that, we're always emailing each other. So we have, like a huge 100 party, like for me, I'm connected to every other financial business person, my counterpart. And so we immediately put it out through Casbo. Hey, does anybody have a plumber? Anybody has a this or a that? Do they have a good reputation? Are they affordable, et cetera? So we are even in a situation when we're not required to, we're still doing everything in our power to ensure that we're getting the best quality and doing everything right as well.
Mr. Harris?
I also want to add that we often try to get 3 quotes even before the bid process, many times, so we have an idea what is the current cost for projects, to get a ballpark, even before we go out to, in the past, even to go out to bid, we kind of want to know what is the expectation. So we have a good idea. If somebody comes in, let's make it up, and they say, oh, it's going to be 1 million. One says 2 million. One says 3 million. We want to know really, what is it like? So that's us doing research too.
Great. Thank you so much for the explanations.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Oh, Mary, was that? Oh, go ahead. Mary, go ahead and take the.
Yeah, I make a motion to go with the bid waiver for the WB Sweeney boilers.
We can jump to that. It's further down on the agenda. This is just the
Oh,
discussion.
it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're not quite, we're just starting action items now. Thank you, Deb. Now we'll move to action items. First, on the agenda is a vote on policy 5131.11 video cameras on buses. As Mr. Weathers mentioned, we're not required to do anything with this since we're not changing anything, but if anyone wants to make a motion to affirm the current policy, I'll entertain it.
We have a copy of them?
Yeah, it's in the packet. Yeah. Reference 7, yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure. It was in my packet. I'm not sure why it's not in yours, Gary. Okay. Yeah. All right. Does anyone want to make a motion or do we want to skip this for tonight? Yeah, we don't need to vote. All right. Next action item is vote on policy 6163.3, live animals in the classroom, which is reference 8 in our packet. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Paula, second.
Second.
Second by Catherine. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Against? Abstain? One abstention. Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the bid waiver for Tucker Mechanical for the removal and replacement of a steam boiler at WB Sweeney Elementary School.
So moved.
Moved by Mary, thank you.
Second.
Second by Gary. Any further discussion? All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Next on the agenda is a vote for approval of the bid waiver for Waltz Lawn Service for removal and replacement of the retaining wall at Windham Middle School.
So moved.
Moved by Paula
Second.
and by Mary. Any discussion? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. And then next, I'll entertain a motion for budget transfers in the amount of, Mark, would you mind filling the blank in?
$4,258,272.19. So moved.
Moved by Mark.
Second.
Second by Catherine. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. That brings us to public comments. I don't think we have to add anything tonight regarding the budget referendum. I think we'll have discussion at our retreat. That moves us forward to public comment. Any public who wish to comment tonight? Anyone online? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:47 PM. So moved by Gary. Thank you. Have a good night.